From script to screen, every film is brought to life by visionary creatives and executives, all sharing one mission: to captivate the audience. Hosted by award-winning movie strategist Kevin Goetz, our podcast, Don't Kill the Messenger, offers a filmmaking masterclass through intimate conversations with Hollywood's most influential voices. And now, your host, Kevin Goetz.
In this business, great talent might get you in the door, but relentless hunger and passion are what keep you there. They push you to take risks, fight for movies, and stay relevant decade after decade in an industry that rarely forgives complacency. My guest today is a beacon of that tenacity. Chuck Roven is one of Hollywood's most respected producers and the co-founder of Atlas Entertainment, a company that has generated billions of dollars in revenue and worldwide critical acclaim. He has produced 5 of the 100 top grossing films of all time, including Oppenheimer, for which he took home the Academy Award. His career has been built on bold, creative bets and movies that delivered. Chuck, welcome to my show.
Happy to be here.
I was just thinking, because Mara Buxbaum is off to the side saying, how long have we known each other? And it's 4 decades.
Yeah, at least.
Well, I know when I arrived, it's been 4 decades since I arrived, and I don't think I knew you in Brooklyn or Jersey, but it's very possible.
I did make a movie in Jersey.
You did?
Cadillac Man.
Who directed that movie?
Roger Donaldson.
Mm-hmm.
We shot at a real car dealership, and the car dealer was exactly what you would imagine. And Robin Williams met the guy, and he really ended up adopting some of the guy's technique. So I had made a deal with the guy to not only shoot there, right, but to be able to come back if I needed to reshoot. And we did need to do some reshooting. And so he says to me, well, you know that deal? Forget it. I'm charging you twice if you want to come back.
Oh, a restructuring deal.
The restructuring of the deal. So I said, what do you need? He said, I want you to give me a cashier's check. And I said, no problem. So I give him a cashier's check. I called the bank. I got the cashier's check. I said, cancel that cashier's check.
And what happened?
I didn't pay him.
Because he renegotiated.
Because he reneged.
That's just a douche move. I'm sorry.
Exactly.
You don't do that shit. You don't do, especially in Jersey. You know. Hey, Chuck, so many people know a lot about your later work, particularly with Batman and so forth. But I knew you when you were hungrier, tunnel vision, getting shit done. And I'd like to talk about the young Chuck. I'd like to know, you're from Los Angeles. Tell me about your passion, your dreams, your aspirations as a kid.
Well, I was fortunate. My dad was a Jewish immigrant who came over here in 1948.
From where?
From Czechoslovakia. And he was able to survive in a very interesting, unique way during World War II. But once the Russians came in and took over Czechoslovakia, he said, I've had enough, I'm out of here. And he started with a liquor store on Wilshire and La Brea, but ended up realizing that in 1948, 1949, real estate was amazing in California, particularly in Los Angeles. So he went into the real estate business and became quite successful, which allowed me to learn how to ride horses because he would buy ranches and then subdivide them.
Oh, smart.
He would call them Cinderella Homes.
Cinderella Homes.
Cinderella.
And what was a Cinderella?
It was a home that was built in the San Fernando Valley in what used to be orange groves.
So they were like track houses?
Yeah, exactly.
So he built developments, really.
He built developments, and he would buy ranches, subdivide them into single-family homes, multiple family homes, shopping centers, stuff like that. But when he was getting the zoning, he would hire cowboys who would run cattle on it. And so I would go out there on the weekends and get extra money by riding horses and playing with the cattle.
Wow.
The other thing that I did was surf. I didn't go to school very much.
Where did you live?
I started on what you would call the Miracle Mile.
So how long did it take you to get to the water?
Oh, I would thumb a ride or with a surfboard, or I would take the bus with the surfboard.
And this is like in the late 50s, early 60s.
Yes, exactly. And then I decided, oh, okay, you know what? Between high school and college, I'm going to take a year off and go surf in Hawaii.
Were you that good?
Pretty good. I would load roofing trucks at night to pay for my ability to surf during the day. And a buddy of mine comes up to me and he goes, hey, you know about this TV series called Hawaii Five-0? They're looking to pay surfers. I said, you're telling me they're going to pay me to surf? That was the start.
So is it fair to say that your father came from nothing and built a formidable business in real estate?
He did not come from nothing. He had a family that was successful in the distillery business in Czechoslovakia. He made this prune brandy called Slivovitz.
Wait a minute. I love Slivovitz.
Okay.
That's powerful stuff.
Powerful stuff. That saved his life.
Okay, this is another program. My God. But your dad got out of the distillery business and ultimately did, which is now makes sense of why he had a liquor store. He had the liquor store while he was doing
He started with the liquor store and then he realized, oh, wait a second. The government is now giving you federal home loan money and Veterans Administration money to go buy property, and then savings and loans will loan you money to build on the property, because that didn't happen in Europe. Okay. So you could actually make money by borrowing money.
So wait a minute, this is all making sense now. So you picked this up.
Yeah.
And this is a conversation that you could have about a movie you're financing right now.
Yeah. That's why I believe that a lot of people talk about vertical. I believe in horizontal.
Explain.
Because learning about this business, any business, okay, the dynamics of it will help you learn about things, particularly in the movie business or the content creation business, because you have departments and you're dealing with construction, you're dealing with finance, you're dealing with negotiating deals with studios, which is real estate. There's all of this.
Absolutely. You know what I call it, Chuck? Finding your A&D, meaning that just because you are a financier doesn't mean you're not also creative, doesn't mean you're also not this or this or this. And I tell a lot of parents now when they say, what about my kid still at home at 27? I said, don't flip out. I said, let them get a job here. It's not a jail sentence, and pick up what they're going to learn. I assure you that that learning will benefit
exactly
what they'll do next. And that's your story.
Yeah.
You picked up all of these things. Fortunately, yours was in the financing and sort of world of sort of real estate as a start. Yeah.
Yeah.
Did you always love film?
Oh, yeah. Saturday, get on the bus, go into Hollywood.
Which theater?
The Chinese. I love the Chinese. There was also Fairfax. I like the Fairfax.
Oh, it turned out later to be like indie films.
Yeah.
But it was not. It was a mainstream.
Oh, yeah.
What was your formidable movie that left an impression on you as a child?
I love the action movies. I loved Westerns. I loved John Ford's movies. I was very, very, very excited if there was a Western, I would go to it. So, which is why I wanted to ride horses. And the guys who would lease my dad's property to run their cattle, they were also stuntmen for the Hollywood Westerns.
That makes total sense to me.
Right.
You know, R.J. Wagner is a very dear friend of mine, and my husband, Neil. He'll be here in a couple of weeks for his 96th birthday.
Wow.
But you know, R.J. grew up in the L.A. that you're talking about. He grew up on the polo grounds of the Beverly Hills Hotel, which were truly polo grounds, and ride his horse all around Los Angeles, and has told me stories similar to what you're saying.
Rodeo Drive used to be a bridle trail from Sunset to Santa Monica.
Did you own your own horses?
No, not initially. I started owning horses later in life.
So you weren't a particularly good student, but you did go to UCLA. You got a degree in, if I remember, economics.
I got no degree. I started out in political science and economics for my dad.
Spoken like a good Jewish boy.
And then I told him, I want to do movies. And he said, wait a second. It's not the ground. You can't touch it. What is that? And by that time, we had moved into Beverly Hills. And I became friendly, as did my dad, with people in the entertainment business.
Wasn't you like your best friend, Dina Martin?
Dean Paul Martin was one of my closest friends in my 20s. Yeah.
You knew Desi Arnaz then.
Yes, of course.
And do you remember my friend, Gregory Crosby?
No, I did not know.
Because Desi was the best man at his wedding.
Oh, was he?
And he was friends with Dina, so I figured you all might have paddled around together.
Well, Dino,
they went to the Daisy a lot. I know that.
I went to the Daisy a lot, too. Matter of fact, Ned Tannen, who used to run Universal, would bump into me at the Daisy and say, Roven, you want to be in Hollywood? I am in Hollywood. Make me make you a deal for Hollywood because I want to be in business with you.
Oh.
Don't mess around at the Daisy.
But he was there.
But he was there. And the candy store. Remember that?
I don't remember it, but I've heard of it, of course. I can speak chapter and verse about it because of all the stories that people have told me. So you're through college now. You want to make movies.
I made student films. So I had this argument with my dad, and I won. And he kept trying to introduce me to people in the entertainment business who would convince me what a difficult business it was.
Crap.
Okay? And I said to him finally, Dad, I said, Dad, they may tell me in these meetings that you pre-negotiate with them about how they're going to talk to me, but they're in the business.
And also, it's so like, you're so transparent. And it's probably, if you're like me, he's dangling a carrot in front of you going, I'll show you.
Exactly. So I transferred over to SC because UCLA had this one movie thing, and we'll tell you in 10 weeks whether or not you can go on. And if we don't like your movie and we don't think you have any talent, you can be a film historian or a film critic, but you can't make any more movies here. So I said, well, I'm not good enough yet. So I ended up going to USC, and my cousin was an associate director there, and he had a class called a Director Acts, which he would get directors who were students. They could be undergraduates, they could be doing their masters, and he would have them work with other directors to teach them how to work with actors.
Wow, that's smart.
Really smart, right?
Yeah.
And so I audited that class before I did any of my movies. And one day, one of the directors, his partner, didn't show up. So they asked me if I'd come down and do this thing. And he offered me a movie, and I did a student film that actually did very well. So I got into SC.
Ah, to the film school.
To the film school, which was at that point in time in a barn. So
it wasn't the SC that we know now.
Not now, no.
But they had a film program.
But they had a really good film program. And I finished my student films, and I was like a junior. And I just said, I really just want to get a job.
Mm-hmm.
On my third student film, which starred my best friend and my sister, I showed it to my dad, and he had tears in his eyes when it was over. And he said, I get it now.
He did?
Yeah.
That's something.
It's very something. Yeah.
Was your mom around?
Oh, yeah, very much so.
We haven't mentioned her. Was she supportive?
She was always supportive. She protected me a lot because my dad had a pretty strong temper, which sometimes I happen to show also.
Was he a good dad?
He was a great one.
And mom?
I loved him very much.
Also?
Yes. He was an amazing guy. And my mom she had more issues because she had a lot of guilt for surviving. She lost a lot of family in the camps.
Oh, boy. Yeah, I can relate.
Yeah.
I want to talk about the temper. I've seen you
lose your temper,
and I have never thought it was unjustified.
Well, thank you.
And I never thought it was unfair, because I find you to be, in French, we say Hamish or a mensch. You're that guy, but you're demanding, as I am. And so I respect and appreciate that. But I don't think you would ever pick on an underdog for the sake of picking on anyone because you're having a bad day. If someone's not doing their job,
yeah,
you may lose your shit.
Sometimes, yeah.
Right?
Mm-hmm.
Did I characterize that correctly?
I think so.
And I also don't think you have ever had that as a reputation that sticks with you. In other words, most people think Chuck Roven, they think successful, big movies, gets shit done. I mean, that's much more of the moniker.
Well, that's nice. I like that reputation.
Yeah. So let's talk about your first association with someone that I worked with and was near and dear to my heart, Dawn Steele. So Dawn was your first wife, correct?
Correct.
And you have a daughter together, Rebecca.
Yes, who works at my company as a producer.
And tell me what it was like meeting that force of nature called Dawn Steele.
I was introduced to Dawn Steele by her closest friend, which was Linda Opes. She was great, very, very close to Rebecca after Dawn passed. And Linda was working for Goober Peters. So when Dawn came into Hollywood, because she was drafted into Hollywood by one of the high-end creative executives at Paramount.
Because she was in designer toilet paper.
Dawn was the secretary for the owner of Hustler magazine. And they had no consumer products division when she was his secretary.
So she had no entertainment experience.
No entertainment experience. But she came to Larry Flint and said, I have an idea. I think we should open up a consumer products division, which I would like to run. And I think the first idea would be to make the cocksock for the man who has everything.
Oh, I remember this. I remember you telling me this. There were scotches.
The cocksock for the man who has everything and nowhere to put it.
I mean, can you get any better?
And it's sold out.
Wow.
So she went.
Merch,
exactly. So
that was her first foray.
She went to Larry and said, I want a piece of the action. And he said no. So she left. And she opened a company called Dawn.
Dawn. Like O-H, Dawn.
Yes.
With a exclamation.
Yes. Dawn. Exactly.
Great.
And she, without getting the rights to it, created Gucci toilet paper.
She didn't have the partnership with Gucci.
She did not have the partnership with Gucci.
Wiping your ass with Gucci. Jesus. Okay. But kind of genius, man. And that sold out.
Well, that sold out, but then she got the call. I think you better stop doing this because you don't have the rights and we don't.
Did she stop doing it?
Gucci's name on toilet paper.
Did she stop?
She did.
Okay.
And that's when she got the call from Paramount to come over and work in their consumer products division.
Oh.
So that's how she got that job.
And that was her first foray into the motion.
Into the entertainment.
Had you known her then?
No, did not.
When did you meet?
She became friendly and she was so good at what she did. She came up with things like Star Trek, the ashtray, stuff like that. A lot more calmer than the cocksock or the penis plant.
That was another one?
That was another one.
The penis plant?
Yeah, the penis plant.
What was the penis plant? I can't let that one go, Chuck. I'm sorry. What did that do?
It was a plant that looked like a penis.
A plant that looked like a penis?
Yes.
A real plant?
A real plant that looked like a penis, yes.
Wow.
Oh, God, these memories. So she was so good at what she was doing in the merchandising department. They said, you know what? You have these great ideas. Why don't you try becoming a creative executive? So she did. And being the aggressor that she was.
Oh, boy. She used to scare the shit out of me.
Many people.
Yeah.
She had quite the mouth.
Oh, boy.
So she starts to work for Don Simpson at Paramount. She got very friendly with him. Don Simpson introduces her to Linda Opes, and Linda Opes is working for Goober Peters. And she goes to Dawn and gives her this script called Flashdance. And that was Dawn's first production executive movie at Paramount.
That worked out well. And listen, from that time, she ended up becoming the president of production at Paramount.
Correct.
How long did that trajectory take?
I would say about 3 years, 4 years.
And then you met her during that time?
I met her when she had just become the president of production.
Did you make any movies with her?
No. I had one movie that was in development there, but that was when Ned Tannen had come there.
I see.
And I had this whole issue with Ned Tannen when he was at Universal. You know, he had not the greatest reputation for his creative friendships. You know, that whole thing about American
graffiti,
where he walked out of the screening and said, this is a bad movie. And I don't know how I could have given you the money. And Coppola said, well, here's a check for the movie.
Is that a real story?
That's a real story.
Wow. Did they ever rectify it?
I don't think they ever talked. I don't know for sure. And George Lucas never talked to him because he said it to George Lucas. Okay, because that was American Graffiti directed by him, right? And I had this whole experience with Ned before he came to Paramount at Universal. I didn't option it. I made a 90-day escrow deal. They put the rights to Dick Tracy in escrow for 90 days, telling both the Chicago Tribune and Chester Gould's lawyer that I needed 90 days to check because Dick Tracy was so old. I needed to check the title for 90 days.
So smart. Why don't we do that today? Instead, you have to get 6-month option to 18-month option and 6 months is spent just finding out the terms of the deal.
The option deal.
So it's kind of a genius idea to reinstate, you know?
We could try. You know, if it took long enough to clear the title, you would do that.
Sure.
So in those 90 days, I wrote the script.
You wrote a script?
With 2 other guys. Sold it to Ned, reminded him about the daisy.
The daisy.
And then nothing happened with the movie except that Chester Gould's lawyer was so pissed that even though I was still in escrow, he sold the rights on option to another producer. And Ned made me do a shotgun wedding with that producer. I went along with it. I had already set up a project at Paramount, and I was working with Harold Becker on that project and Al Pacino. But the movie never got made.
He was another one that scared me.
Who?
I was an actor.
You were?
Oh, yeah, as a kid. And he directed a Coke commercial. And he was screaming at the
Harold
crew.
Becker?
Mm-hmm. He terrified me.
But I thought he was a very talented man. And I wish that we were able to make the movie that we were trying to make.
So when did you finally ask Dawn out?
She had just been made head of production. So she might have been done. It might have been one of the Tom Cruise movies. It could have been. Dawn had already left and was partnered with Bruckheimer, and Katzenberg was running production. Katzenberg had just left when Diller went to Fox.
That was an insane
thing. The Killer
5
Doors,
to
all
8 years.
right. They all went to thing, and so they brought Ned over, and they boosted Dawn into president of production, and she kept knocking it out of the park to the point where all the magazines would say most powerful woman in Hollywood, and Ned was getting very jealous. So Linda introduced us at this premiere, and I asked her out, and it was a very fast courtship. And we got married, and then I had a big failure after my first movie was successful. It wasn't successful money-wise, but it was really highly acclaimed, which was Heart Like a Wheel. But my second movie, which was made in USA, had a completely disastrous test screening. And Dawn had just become president of production. And I had asked her if I could use their theater. And it's a 300-seat theater. And by the time the movie was over, there was about 50 people left.
And by the way, if it's on a studio lot,
yeah, I know.
That even has
worse.
It's worse. People don't want to leave a lot. Love how we can laugh about these things later. At the time, you were like, my life's over.
Oh, yeah. And she was not happy. She thought I had embarrassed her.
I was just going to ask you a question. This is really where I was going. What's it like when you have a woman, a wife in your life who is going almost to the pinnacle of her career, meaning, and she's young, and you're struggling? Couldn't have been easy.
That was probably my lowest point.
I appreciate the honesty.
And I was taken aback because I was totally embarrassed.
But she thought you embarrassed her.
She didn't go, honey, don't worry about it. Okay. That did not come out of her mouth.
No.
What came out of her mouth was, how dare you come to my lot and exhibit that? But we got through it.
Of course. I was about to say as most normal couples do, but you guys are not a normal couple.
And then Rebecca came. And when Dawn left to go on maternity leave, Ned used it as an excuse to get rid of her.
And hence Columbia came.
Exactly.
A knocking.
Yeah.
When we come back, I want to talk about the rise of Chuck Roven, because I venture to say that if Dawn were alive today, she would say, well, you redeemed yourself from that episode. I cannot believe my husband won the Academy Award. We'll be back in a moment.
Listeners, the Motion Picture and Television Fund is a nonprofit charitable organization that supports working and retired members of the entertainment community. This wonderfully run organization offers assistance for living and aging with dignity and purpose in the areas of health and social services, including temporary financial assistance, case management, and residential living, and has been a crucial lifeline to thousands during and beyond critical times that our industry continues to experience. To learn more, visit mptf.com. Please join me in helping others in our industry during times of need. There are so many ways to offer support and get involved. Thank you.
We're back with the extraordinary Chuck Roven. Chuck, I always view you as the consummate producer, the guy who does everything from the twinkle in the eye of the idea to the development to the actual doing of the work. You're on set every day. I can attest the entire post-production process, and then involved in the marketing and the release of the movie. I cannot name that many producers who have that kind of involvement. So to me, you're sort of a hero when it comes to the definition of a producer. And you've been awarded the PGA award for that acknowledgement. I mean, others have seen it with me. Coming back from break, I can't help think, my God, the successes that you have had. When did you feel that you came into your own?
Actually, Don was still around then. I developed a movie called 12 Monkeys.
Brad Pitt
and Bruce Willis. And I had been given a very famous movie.
This is around the 12 Monkeys time?
Well, 12 Monkeys was based on a documentary film called Legacies, which means the runway in French. And the guy who made the movie was a documentary filmmaker, but he shot it live action, and he hated what he did. So he turned it into a series of stills.
Oh.
And had one live action moment, which was the young Cole character, which was ultimately played by Bruce Willis as an older man. And he, in an airport runway, sees himself as Bruce Willis get shot. That's the end of Legacies. And that is also, in many ways, the end of 12 Monkeys. And I flew to Paris to meet with that filmmaker, and he trusted me, so I optioned the rights. And I went to David and Jan Peoples, the great screenwriters, and they delivered what they call 12 Monkeys to me. And I was looking for who the right director could be. Dawn had had this horrible experience with Terry Gilliam on Baron Munchausen. And she had convinced Terry to recut the movie in order to, she promised him that she'd get it wide released, and she wasn't able to deliver on that promise, so they fought. Now I had to come back.
It was an expensive art film, if I recall.
Yes, it was. But brilliant in its own way.
We were in Long Island testing that. I remember that screening.
She was pissed. So I sent the script to Terry. He came back and he said, I love this. I want to do it. And I said, well, you need to know something. And he said, what? I said, my wife is Dawn Steele. And I don't know how well you know Terry, but he's got this cackle.
I don't know him well.
He's got this cackle of a laugh. Okay. Like that. And so he says, you know, Chuck, this is just another proof that there is no bridge you could burn in Hollywood.
Oh. Sure. I'm okay with that.
I'm okay.
Well, she wasn't involved in it, though. So just by,
no, she was just pissed.
You'd have to hear about it.
That was the second time she got pissed at me. But that movie came out.
It was huge.
It was huge.
Right.
It cost $30 million, and the worldwide gross was $180 million. And I put together, again, using my business acumen taught to me by my dad and then my brother to create a consortium of independent production companies that were distribution companies.
Ooh.
So Universal didn't trust Terry Gilliam to make a $32 million movie, which is what
12 Monkeys was going to be.
So they said, could I bring in some independent money? So I went to what was then Polygram and the BBC for the UK, and then I went to Telemunchen, which was German, and I went to Soshaku, which was Japan.
Listeners, you must take note of how he is now piecing together. He's not depending on the fact that he's saying we're not going to put the entire investment in. He's going to now almost deficit finance this movie
by
banking your receivables, if you will, through foreign.
Exactly. But I made them partners.
Even smarter.
I said, you're not just going to get your territory. You're going to get a piece of what Universal is going to distribute in the other territory.
I'm just curious, what did Universal put in of the 32?
16.
See, half of it?
Yeah.
You got them to do that?
Yeah.
And who covered the marketing?
Every territory covered their own marketing.
Oh, wow. So Universal was only expected to cover the domestic?
No. Those different partners got their territory, and they got a piece of Universal opening in the non-partner territories. So Australia was a non-partner territory. So Universal distributed in Australia.
This is a cool construct. Had it been done before in that way? Really smart, Chuck.
I did it together with this guy, Gary Levinson, who had been a foreign sales guy.
Mm-hmm.
And we're still making money from the receivables on that movie.
We could talk for hours, so I'm going to cut to the chase, and I'm going to mention a few filmmakers with whom you've forged pretty strong relationships with and have done more than one movie. Let's start with David O. Russell.
I've made two great movies with David Russell. One is Three Kings and one is American Hustle. And I would love to make a third.
He's a particular personality,
Definitely.
A singular filmmaker. I might call him brilliant.
I think he's pretty extraordinary. Those two movies, I think, were great movies, but
they were great.
Think about Silver Lining Playbook, another great movie that I had nothing to do with, that he did the screenplay.
Why did you get involved in those, but you weren't involved in, like, Silver Linings Playbook, for example? Did you develop American Hustle? Did you develop
I developed
Three Kings?
I did not develop Three Kings. Three Kings was done at Warner Brothers.
And you were invited to the party?
I had made some pretty good movies at Warner Brothers. The biggest hit that I had after 12 Monkeys was City of Angels. And I combined both making that movie and doing an amazing soundtrack, because I was also went into the music business with Bob Cavallo.
You formed a company with Bob Cavallo, which ultimately brought Dawn Steele in.
That's right.
Dawn Steele Productions, right?
Yeah.
And then it became Atlas.
Correct.
Yeah, I do my research.
Good one. So we had Atlas Third Rail, which was our management company and our record company. And City of Angels soundtrack was the biggest record of the year.
That's
not just the soundtrack.
Insane.
So we broke the Goo Goo Dolls on that, in that movie. And Alanis Morissette got a Grammy for Uninvited. I think we won 3 Grammys on that record. So by being able to do that, I was asked to go to the Three Kings party. And the good news was David and I got along really well, and we worked on the movie. Whit Thomas were the producers.
From television?
Yes. But they really weren't movie guys. And I had gone to grammar school with Tony Thomas.
Let me move on to DC.
Okay.
Because you had a strong association with Suicide Squad, right?
Yes. I was asked to that party as well. So
what does that say about you, my friend? For a producer in this town to be invited to be a producer on something is probably one of the rarest, most affirming things that can happen, because producers generate material. They're a quote unquote dime a dozen but there ain't a lot of Chuck Rovens. And so for you to get that call to join this party and that party has to be a bit of a head trip.
I'm not going to deny that it doesn't make me happy. It does make me very happy. And I've been blessed to work not only with incredibly talented guys like David Russell and, and obviously, I think one of the all-time greats, Chris and Emma.
So can we go to Chris and Emma?
Yeah.
Chris Nolan, why is he a household name at this point?
Well, because
why is he the biggest single brand? Maybe other than Steven Spielberg and Jim Cameron, there are so few filmmakers that can be a floating head on a one sheet.
Yeah, that's true. He's just that brilliant, and he knows every aspect of making movies and writing scripts, and he cares about every aspect, and also has a great partner in Emma, who's a great producer as well.
Why is she a great producer?
Because she engages, okay? And they don't always agree.
Which is great.
And by the way, it's a subjective business, isn't it? You can't always agree.
I can't imagine a healthy creative relationship without good civic discourse.
Exactly.
You can't. Otherwise, it's just like one's enabling the other.
So Jeff Robinoff was the one who called me to do Three Kings. And Jeff Robinoff was the one who called me to do Batman Begins.
Call out to Jeff.
Yeah. And then I got a call from Dan Aloni, who was at that time.
Who represented Chris?
He represents him still. And I had done a movie with another Dan Aloni client, which was Scooby-Doo. And Scooby-Doo was a 9-digit movie. And Chris's biggest movie had been Insomnia, which was 30 million.
Right. Just sophomore effort after Memento.
Correct. And I think Chris and Emma had not done a studio.
Makes all the sense in the world.
And the studio said, oh, well, Chuck produced Scooby-Doo, which I developed, and it was a hit. Remember, it came out on the same day as the Matt Damon Bourne movie.
Oh.
But we beat him, which I always kid Matt about.
Did you get a call to get involved in Oppenheimer?
No, I brought Oppenheimer to Chris.
Did you really?
Yeah.
What'd you say to him?
This was after the whole fiasco that happened with Tenet. Jason Kilar was brought in, who was not a very wise choice. But in my opinion, Jason Kilar destroyed a 22-year relationship that Chris and Emma had with Warner.
I kind of looked up to him because he had to do what he had to do at the time because people weren't going to the theater.
Yeah, but you need to understand.
Please.
Okay. Tenet kept moving because of COVID. Okay. How many theaters were going to be open? Are we going to do simultaneous release? And Tenet ended up opening for a very short period of time theatrically before it was pulled off to go streaming.
It did?
Yes. And the next movie on the docket was Wonder Woman 84. So I had this whole huge meeting with Jason, Ann, Toby, Gal, the star, Patty Jenkins, myself, and the conversation was, are we going to move like Top Gun Maverick did? Or are we going to go simultaneous release? Jason said, it's going to be a year before we come back to this movie if we move it. And Patty said, I don't want to wait a year. I was on the fence. But my big question was, I need to understand, if we're going to do simultaneous release, is it going to be the whole slate? Or is it going to be one movie, depending on what the movie is? And in that meeting, Jason said, no, I would never do simultaneous release on our tentpoles. We're going to deal with it one movie at a time and see what's warranted. And I said, okay, fine, I'm in.
Yeah.
2 weeks later, he announced the whole slate.
I see.
As simultaneous
Yeah,
release.
I can understand your feelings. 100%.
And I had a movie coming out that James Gunn directed called Suicide Squad.
Oh, you were so ingrained and so pregnant with Warner Brothers on so many movies at that time.
Yes.
And then you're at the Academy Awards and the winner is Oppenheimer, Christopher Nolan, Emma Thomas, and Chuck Roven. Charles Roven, I think they said.
Yeah.
You go up there. What's it like?
First of all, the whole night was insanely wonderful.
You knew you were going to win.
No. There were other movies that were getting awards that we were nominated for and didn't win in those categories. Okay?
We won the Globe.
We won the Globe for drama. You got to remember this, okay? The last time I was nominated for Best Picture, American Hustle got 11 nominations.
And you didn't get one. Are you serious?
Yes.
So you just went to have a good time?
No, I thought we were going to win some.
No, I'm saying at Oppenheimer. You just went to have a good time because you're saying, I'm going to lower my expectations.
I'm not going to.
Okay, now I believe you.
Okay. I said, I don't want to jinx anything.
Right.
Okay.
Who were you with?
I was with my wife.
Named?
Stephanie Hames Roven.
You know, I love her. I knew
Everybody does.
I knew
I'm
Stephanie
the luckiest
from
guy.
Le Dome.
That's where I met her.
Unbelievable. I think I just saw her.
Yeah, she's here.
And she's beautiful. She's a wonderful woman. She's supportive. And everywhere I go, everyone knows her who is of a certain level in our business, a strata in our business who has been around for enough years and had spent time at Le Dome.
And I called her my secret weapon.
Now, she came to your latest movie that you and I worked on called Mercy, which just opened, and it opened well. First of all, I love the movie.
Thank you.
I love it for several reasons.
And you watched it grow.
Oh, I watched it grow. And Stephanie was there each and every screening, which is why you call her your secret weapon, I think. But look, the movie, folks, why it's so good is it just is so kinetic. It keeps you on the edge of your seat. You literally are nervous about what's going to happen. It's almost done in real time. And we tested it, and it tested well. And then Chuck said, let's do it again. Let's work on the edit with the director, et cetera. It tested just as good, slightly better. But it was one of those things that each time we screened it, we made baby steps, but never like a breakthrough. And what was the issue standing back? What did you finally do? You listened to the audience, first of all.
First of all, we listened to the audience. The second thing that we finally did was we cut the denouement. Didn't think we needed it.
Which is the coda?
The coda. Yeah. We didn't think we needed it. It wasn't buying us anything. It actually was raising more questions than it answered.
In other words, the movie was done and you were sort of reviving it, and it didn't need to be revived.
Didn't need to be revived.
And the audience was telling you that.
Yes. And then, because the director, as a producer and a director, Timur, he developed this concept, which he calls screen life. And that has to do with being able to view things in, quote, real time, unquote. And he made a movie called Searching and Missing, and they did very well, and they cost almost nothing to make. What we wanted to do and have done with Mercy is expand the screen life concept and make somebody in a trial with an AI judge who can bring to the defendant the ability to see all these things that have gone on in his life repeated immediately, because as an AI judge, that machine,
in this case,
is able to access your computer, your phones, the cameras on the street, and not just yours.
And you know it's coming. What was the first answer when I said, give me your first thoughts? It's happening. It's real. It's of today. Whatever you want to call it. It was so interesting that every person was almost freaked out by it because it felt so damn real. But I want to just say again how you heard everything each time, because you tested it a number of times because you didn't want to settle. And I remember our last screening just came up in the scores so much because I converted to 3D. Whose idea was that?
That original idea was Namit Malhotra.
Namit is great, man.
Yeah, he's great.
He runs
DNEG,
and he is a visionary.
Yes.
You're also working on a movie that he's doing, one of the biggest movies ever released out of India.
Yes.
Called
Ramayana.
Ramayana, part 1, part 2,
Yes.
because there's a lot to say in that legend.
It's the Hindu and Indian Bible.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Literally.
Yes, literally.
And yet no one in the rest of the world really knows it. So the question is, how do we make it as Western and as digestible as possible and defy what's really never been done? A blockbuster coming out of another country other than America that goes worldwide. And I think you get there. I'm so hoping.
Me too.
So Namet was great and influential. He was so smart because this movie, because of the glasses that you have to have while you watch it, makes you even more immersive in the experience. And I thought that was sort of genius.
Yes.
I'm just going to say.
So we actually gave his company all of the visual effects. And at the end of it, he said, you should seriously think about doing this in 3D. And I love that idea. And he put his money where his mouth was. He said, I'll give you test footage of the 3D that I'm talking about. And if you guys want to do it after that, I'll make a financial deal with MGM and get a piece of that 3D business.
That's brilliant. That's brilliant. Tell me before we break, Chuck, what's your relationship like with the audience? And when I say that, particularly with the test screening process, you and I have, in our lives, have most interacted. Until recently, we've become more social friends. But for years, we interacted sharing popcorn.
Yes.
At research screenings.
Yes.
What have you learned? How do you value them?
It's so interesting because I do have directors who don't like those screenings.
Christopher Nolan is one of them.
He doesn't test his movies with a recruited audience. He does do friends and family.
Sure.
Screenings, yeah. And I like to do a friends and family screening first and then go to an audience. But it's invaluable to have an audience tell you what they're thinking. And you learn a tremendous amount from it. That's the thing that you get.
I try to tell people the difference between a definite recommend score that's a norm and a definite recommend score that may be 20 points above the average or norm could be tens of millions of dollars.
Yes.
But I don't understand why everybody just doesn't get that mechanics. Not to necessarily listen to exactly the fixes, because audiences often can't tell you how to fix it. They just tell you what they're not responding to,
Exactly.
what's not working. But you as the creative producer and the director need to figure that out. But I know you have respect. It was a bit of a loaded question when it comes to audiences. I've seen you make the changes. I've seen you do the work, and I really appreciate that.
And I really appreciate the fact that when I'm doing a test screening, it's your company and you that I want to go to because I value your insight. So thank you.
This has been a really nice talk, and I know people are going to be very excited about it. So continue to bring us great movies, Chuck Roven. You're a legendary producer at this point. I don't want to say that to make you feel old, but your body of work is really extraordinary. So thank you.
All right. This was a pleasure in many ways. Thank you.
To our listeners, I hope you enjoyed this conversation. I encourage you to watch many of Chuck's films, including his latest, Mercy. For more insights into filmmaking, audience testing, and the business of Hollywood, I invite you to check out my books, Audienceology, and my latest book, How to Score in Hollywood. You can also follow me on my social media. Next time on Don't Kill the Messenger,
I'll welcome veteran executive and producer Bob Cooper.
Until then, I'm Kevin Goetz, and to you, our listeners, I appreciate you being part of the movie-making process. Your opinions matter.